Hi, my name is Katie Swanson. I am recently engaged to my fiance, Jamal Gorham. I am submitting my proposal story, or I guess not my proposal, but my engagement story to you because the lengths that my fiance went to propose to me are so incredible that I really feel it necessary to share with the world how amazing he is and how thoughtful, because this story is just something straight out of television and it's just that insane. So I want to share it with you all so that other people can know my joy and maybe it can spark some thoughts and ideas for other young men and women out there who are looking to come up with some creative inspiration for their own engagements. So I'm going to take you back to just a couple of days ago when I was a female prepared to go shopping for the night and then get in my sweatpants and watch Netflix. Typical Thursday night. My now fiance, Jamal, volunteers at Paws in downtown Chicago every Thursday night from 5:30 to 9 or so. So at 5 something, he was getting ready to head out the door. And he was in his sweatpants and sweatshirt like he always is on Thursday nights because that's what he wears to go play with the dogs. So nothing atypical there. I was trying to go shopping. So I was getting myself ready to go out, I had my coat on and my shoes, and now that I think back on it, he was behaving a little weirdly. He was saying things like, well, how long are you going to be out? And, when are you going to be back? I'm expecting a package and it might need to be signed for. And I was thinking, okay, well, that's weird because we've had so many packages delivered here and I don't think any of them have ever needed to be signed for. And he kept asking me or telling me that, I need to be home for the mail when the mail comes because he's expecting something. And there was new mail on the table. Like there was a brand new Netflix movie there and new mail for me. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure you already checked the mail today. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, he was leaving and I told him, I'm right behind you. Leave the door open for me as he shuts the door. And I'm like, hello, I told you to leave the door open for me. And he rushes out. And I'm making my way down the stairs then, a little irritated, and I get a text from him that says, I just got a notification that my package arrived, check the mail. So I'm like, okay. So I open our mailbox, and inside I find this envelope. It is blank. It was wrapped in twine. It's not anymore, but it had this red wax seal on it that you may not be able to see, but there's a little frog stamp on there. Now, I recognize this instantly because this red wax frog stamp seal was a gift from my brother. So this is mine. I've never used it yet, so I'm sitting here staring at this like, what the hell? So I open it, and inside is this. I currently have it in plastic because I don't trust myself not to spill on it. Is this 5-page story in this antiquated style paper. The edges have been burned. It's in calligraphy style writing, and it details the story of a princess on her quest to find her prince who has been ensnared by an evil dragon, and in order to set her prince free, she must first solve 3 riddles. And it also kind of starts with, prepare yourself for a night of wining and dining and relaxation. So I'm reading this. I read this first page like 5 times over and over thinking, okay, what the heck is going on here? And also, it was so sweet, and I was so confused, though, because it was such a shocker to have something like this happen on a random Thursday night. He's a really sweet, creative guy in general, but to just all of a sudden go to the mailbox and have this and be told that now I have to solve these puzzles, I was like, just didn't know what was going on. So it had strict instructions for me to do 1 puzzle at a time, to not read ahead, and to submit my answers to him via text message. And if I was correct, then he would tell me I could go on to the next puzzle. Unfortunately, at about this time, his phone decided it didn't want to receive text messages anymore that evening. So I had solved the first puzzle, or thought I did, and had texted him my answer, and I'm sitting there staring at my phone waiting for a response, and I'm not getting one, thinking, if you are asking me to play a game like this and you're not responding right away, that's cruel. He ended up calling me, and we figured out his phone wasn't responding to text messages, so I had to phone in my answers, which was also super awkward because I'm doing these puzzles not knowing why I'm doing them or what's happening, and he's answering the phone only long enough for me to give my answer, for him to tell me if I got it right or not, and then he'd hang up. So I'm kind of left hanging, still thinking, what game am I playing here? So I make my way through the 3 puzzles, and the last one tells me to look under the bed. And so I go to the bed, and we have some stuff under there, so I take everything out, and I can't see anything, so I have my flashlight, and I'm looking, and all I see is dust, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking for, what's going on here? So I start tearing the lids off of the plastic bins that we have under there. The first one only has his clothes in it, and I rifle through it, and there's nothing in there, and again, I'm still like, I don't know what I'm looking for, I don't know what I'm supposed to be finding here. I tear the lid off the second bin, and on the inside is a box, a gift-wrapped box. So I unwrap it, and on the inside is a beautiful dress that I had tried on at a store with him a few days prior, but didn't buy because it was just too expensive for me to purchase at that time. But here that dress was, and I had instructions to then call him. So I called and told him that I found the dress, and he said, get yourself fancy and get ready and meet me at Cafe Babariba at 7 o'clock. And it was like a little after 6 at that point, so it gave me an hour to get ready and get there. So I hang up the phone, and I'm now kind of in a whirlwind of, I still don't know what's going on, but this is super exciting, and all of a sudden I'm going out to dinner, I have to get fancy, and at this point I'm pretty sold on the idea that I'm probably getting proposed to tonight. So my nails were pretty hideous. So I cut them, and I'm filing them, and shave my legs, and I, recurl my hair, and I get in the cab ride, and on the cab ride over, I am staring at my phone, shaking, like, who do I text telling them that I'm pretty sure I'm getting proposed to tonight? I end up not telling anyone because what if I was wrong and then I'd be an idiot? So I get to the restaurant, and the way that this restaurant is set up, as you're walking up to the main door, there are windows on your right, and you can see all the people seated at the bar. And I look over as I'm walking up, and there he is, seated at the bar, dressed to the nines in a bow tie and a jacket, looking absolutely fantastic. And I'm thinking, you left the house in a sweatshirt. Like, at this point, I'm just going with it. We have probably one of the more awkward hellos we've ever had since we started dating because I didn't know what was going on, and now that I know what happened or what was going on, he was clearly very nervous. So we get seated, and as soon as we're seated, he starts telling me that he knows I've been really stressed at work, and I've been planning my friend's bridal shower and her bachelorette party, and that's taken a lot of my time. And so he said, I just wanted to show my appreciation for you and kind of break us out of our routine and do something fun and different. So at this point, he's completely thrown me off. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, this is incredibly sweet and I'm having so much fun, but he's not proposing tonight. So he super threw me there. We get through dinner. It's absolutely fantastic. And the dessert menu comes. And he asks if I want dessert, and I say, yeah. And he says, well, no, we actually have to get the check because we have another reservation somewhere else for dessert. And I'm thinking, it's after 8:30, it's Thursday night, where are we going after this? So we get in the car and start driving, and he tells me he's made reservations at the best creme brulee place in Chicago, in downtown Chicago. And I'm like, okay, I've never heard of this place. Creme brulee is my favorite dessert, by the way. So I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll go with it. Sounds great. So he parks. He pays at a pay and park, and there's this giant park on our left. And he says the restaurant is just around the corner, but why don't we cut through this park? So we're walking through the park, and let me paint a little picture here for you. It's about a 45-degree night in downtown Chicago. We're walking through this park. There are a few people walking through it, but not really, not too many. It's kind of it's mostly empty at this point. There's this beautiful fountain in the middle. It's not running yet, still super beautiful. And because it is late April, the trees are starting to bud. Very pretty. And there's a little bit of a humidity to the air. It had been misting a little bit earlier, so even though it was 45 degrees, we were both in like nice warm winter coats. It felt fantastic outside. It was not cold. So we're walking through this park and we come up to a bench, and next to the bench is a picnic basket. And I say out loud, "Oh, somebody left their picnic basket," as he's reaching for it. I have the picnic basket here. So he's reaching for it and he says, "Oh, who left this picnic basket here? What's this doing here?" And I'm like, "Is this our picnic basket?" And he opens it and there's a bottle of champagne inside. There are 2 champagne flutes with gold painted stems. There's a box of chocolate truffles that I instantly recognize and know that he's made because when we first started dating and I was living in Madison, he came to visit me and he brought me a box of these chocolate truffles. It also had a Bluetooth speaker on the inside that he instantly started streaming to his phone, playing music such as this gem. And I'm laughing, and I'm excited, and I'm having so much fun. I'm still completely confused. I have no idea what's going on. I now all of a sudden have a soundtrack to my life playing. Meanwhile, he's still not proposing, though. And so I'm still super confused. We're in the middle of this gorgeous park. He's now popped champagne. We're drinking champagne in the park. We're talking. We're listening to this great music. We go through the whole bottle of champagne and he still hasn't proposed. So at this point, I'm thrown off again, thinking, okay, this really is just one of the most romantic nights of my life, but I'm not getting proposed to tonight. But then another part of me is thinking, if he's not proposing tonight, what the hell is he going to do to propose? Because this is insane. So we finish the bottle, and I actually want to backtrack and side note. There was a note in the basket too that when he started pouring the champagne, I was like, "Oh, there's a note here." And he was super shocked. It was saying like, "There is. That's not from me." So I read it and it said something to the effect of champagne is better than cider, bitches. Something like that. And Jamal told me that his friend who had planted the basket for us must have switched out the cider that Jamal originally had in there because you're not supposed to drink in Chicago public parks. But they had switched it out with champagne because clearly champagne is better than cider. Anyway, so Jamal says, we really do have reservations somewhere. We have to get going again. So we start walking again, and he's kind of herding me in the direction he wants me to go. And we turn left to cross the street, and then he kind of herds me to the left again, so that now we're almost headed back to our car. And on our right is this beautiful white building, and I'm commenting on the architecture when all of a sudden I see the plate for the building, and it says Chicago Newberry Library. And that is the place that we first met at a mutual friend's wedding. And then all of a sudden he starts playing this song.
How do you like your coffee?
Oh, no, it's an advertisement.
Choosing my favorite international delight.
Well, nothing ever goes the way you want it to, huh?
Flavor is like choosing my favorite.
I'm going to turn that down. And y'all are just going to have to wait with me for a second. And he starts playing this song. And he starts playing this song. Which happens to be the very first song that we danced to for the first time. Al Green's Let's Stay Together. And at this moment, I absolutely knew what was about to happen, and I started crying. He turns around and puts his arms around me, and he goes into this incredibly romantic speech. I wish I could tell you what he said. I cannot remember because at this point I was in blackout excitement mode. What I do remember, though, is that when he finished giving his speech, he got down on one knee and took out this ring box. that I later found out he stained himself. It's a beautiful little wooden box. Um, the top part of it, this cushion part, is made from fabric from a pillow that we were going to make together. So this is fabric that we picked out together. And then the bottom is a little moss bed because sometimes I'm kind of a nature freak. And sitting in the little moss bed, which is what is now resting happily on my ring finger, is this gorgeous, gorgeous, absolutely stunning ring that I now wear with pride and cannot stop looking at. And so I say, of course, I'll marry you. And he gets up and we start hugging each other. And I start Claire Danes ugly crying. And we're kind of half dancing, half shaking each other in the street. And so freaking excited. Absolutely in disbelief at this point. Not because I didn't think it would ever happen. Not at all that reason. Just because he blew my mind with this. I knew we had been talking about engagement for a little while, but I really thought it was months away, and he absolutely floored me with this. So at this point, again, I'm elated. We're in the car ride home, super excited. We've talked to his parents at that point, and I'm gearing up to call my parents, and we get to our apartment. I go first and open the door. At this point, I've had surprises on surprises, but turns out it's not yet over. I open the door, and our whole apartment is filled with all of these yellow and white balloons. And they are everywhere. And there's another bottle of champagne on the kitchen table with 2 fresh champagne flutes sitting there waiting for us. He had our neighbor come in while we were out and fill our apartment. And just when I thought the night couldn't get any better, he's like slammed me with another surprise. And it was just, I mean, I was speechless. I was absolutely speechless. It is something that is straight out of a movie script. It's something that I never in my wildest dreams could have thought would happen to me or would happen to anybody in real life. It was the most confusing, exciting, wonderful, confusing night of my life. He had me on the edge of my seat all night long, and I'm going to cry because I'm so excited telling the story again. I am just so excited to be engaged to a man who would put that much thoughtfulness into the proposal. And even though it was kind of so out there and crazy and movie script like, it was also so us, and it was so filled with the things that make us unique as a couple. And I feel like he deserves all of the frickin' recognition in the world for being as amazing as he is. And I hope that I hope that this story inspires other couples and that people will enjoy it as much as I did. And if you don't believe that any of it happened, or if you would like to fact check anything, please feel free to ask Jamal, because he was there too. And now I'm engaged. Okay, that's all. I'll stop boring you now with my really awful, terrible life. Thank you for listening. Bye. Looking forward to celebrating at the wedding.